Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really pull out the key insights from different sources and turn complex stuff into, well, hopefully engaging conversations.
Exactly. And today we're digging into this idea. What if a house wasn't just, four walls and a roof? What if it was almost alive?
Yeah, like a container full of memories, secrets, maybe even this magnetic pull that shapes the people inside, even long after they're gone.
It's a cool concept. We usually think of houses as just the setting, the backdrop.
Right. But this flips that, makes the house a central character, maybe even the main character. It sees everything, holds everything, maybe even does things.
And that is exactly what we're exploring today. We are diving deep into Anne Patchett's amazing novel, The Dutch House.
It's such a rich story, family, hidden history, and just the incredible, almost inescapable impact of this one single grand house on generations.
So for sources, we're looking at excerpts straight from the novel, which are just fantastic, plus some really interesting insights from Anne Patchett herself, especially about the cover art.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Okay, so our mission today. Let's try and unearth the most compelling bits, the surprising facts, those moments that make you go, aha.
Right, to show why The Dutch House is really so much more than just, a family story. It's about memory, how we define home.
And maybe how we learn to see things that aren't obvious. The unseen stuff. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's start with the house itself. It's this architectural puzzle, right? With a really dense history.
Yeah, so it wasn't just built, it was commissioned around 1922 by Mr. Van Hobeek, a cigarette tycoon.
And here's that first wild detail that just grabs you. Those Delft mantels in the drawing room, library, master bedroom.
They weren't just bought, they were literally pried out of a castle in Utrecht.
Right, and sold to the Van Hobeeks just to pay off some prince's gambling debts. I mean, talk about an origin story. Gives it this aristocratic, slightly scandalous vibe right away.
Well, what's really interesting is the name, right?
Yeah.
Everyone calls it the Dutch House because the Van Hobeeks.
But the style wasn't actually Dutch at all. It was neoclassical. Maybe simpler lines, more Mediterranean or French, the book says.
And it had this look, like it appeared to float several inches above the hill it sat on. Just imagine that. It wasn't just a building, it was already a landmark, kind of local legend.
Even before the Conroys, our main family, show up.
So then 1946, our father, Cyril Conroy, he buys this grand, almost mythical place.
And it's not exactly pristine, is it? It's kind of chosen him, maybe, but it's got issues. Raccoons in the ballroom.
The ballroom, of all places,
Yeah.
and fleas everywhere. It suggests the house has its own personality. It's not a perfect dream home, it's a bit of a project.
Definitely a challenge. And he hires Fluffy. Her parents had actually worked for the Van Hobeeks.
Oh, right. So she's got this deep connection already. She becomes Mary's nanny, the caretaker. She grew up in the apartment over the garage.
That connection is so important later, but the contrast is stark, isn't it? This grand place, but run down like this dormant grandeur, or maybe a hidden burden.
And here's where the real drama starts, the core conflict. The mother, Elna, she hated it.
Hated it. He buys it as a surprise for her, this huge symbol of success.
And she's petrified, finds it too much, feels ashamed even. It's such a twist. Why put that conflict right at the start, through her eyes?
Well, it immediately creates this, internal fault line in the family, and the house itself seems to just make it bigger. You can feel the storm brewing right from page one.
Okay, so let's move to the kids, Maeve and Danny. Their early lives are just completely shaped by this house and, well, their mother's feelings about it.
Maeve especially. She steps up so young, becoming this incredibly protective, almost motherly figure for Danny.
You hear about her first memories, scratching from fleas, her father constantly correcting her posture.
Yeah, while all she cares about is looking out for her little brother, she really becomes the anchor in their world.
Her strength is just constant and becomes even more crucial when the mother starts her disappearing act.
Right. First, it's just 2 nights, unexplained. Then 4. Then a whole week.
And the father's excuses are so flimsy.
Yeah.
Visiting friends in Philadelphia. Maeve knows it's not right.
And her reaction is physical, intense. She gets really sick, drinks water nonstop, nearly dies after her mother leaves for good. It's not just plot, it's this deep trauma.
Yeah, completely tied to her feelings of abandonment and somehow to the house itself. It shapes everything for both of them.
And Fluffy's there through all of that. Not just the nanny, but this steady, comforting force, picking Maeve up from school.
Comforting her, yeah.
Uh,
Even scooping her up when she was so sick after the mother left for the last time.
Fluffy represents one of those sort of unseen lives in the house, offering this loyalty, this continuity that the family itself is kind of lacking.
It's like the house, through its staff, held onto a kindness that the Conroys were losing.
Which is such a contrast to when Andrea arrives, the ultimate interloper.
Right. Maeve describes her as small and neat on that first visit, and Maeve is taller, more intimidating.
And Andrea immediately focuses on the Van Hobeek paintings, sees them as just part of the property.
But for Maeve and Danny, those paintings are everything. Their past, their mother. Do you think Andrea just didn't get it, or was she deliberately ignoring the history?
It's probably a mix. Maybe her background didn't prime her for that kind of, inherited feeling, but there's definitely a possessiveness there, too.
She saw what she could get, not what they valued or lost. Her view is all surface level, what belongs to the house now.
Totally missing the deep meaning for the kids, and then, bam, the package deal.
Oh yeah, Andrea just shows up one Saturday, no warning, with her two little daughters, Norma and Bright.
Maeve and Danny are completely floored. They actually thought, okay, this is it. She's gone too far. Dad will send her packing.
Couldn't have been more wrong. Which makes you wonder, what did their father actually tell Andrea about his family, about the house? He seems pretty evasive too.
Definitely. And then Maeve's defiance. That scene is amazing. Andrea just dumps her kids on them to watch.
And Maeve says flat out, they're Andrea's children and she should take care of them, not me.
And the father's reaction, lighting a cigarette right there on the dinner table. The book calls it an act of aggressive incivility. It says so much.
It really does. It shows his passive aggression, how he's willing to just let his kids down to keep his new life smooth.
And once she marries him, Andrea takes control fast. Weekly menus, criticizing Sandy and Jocelyn's cooking.
Making the staff less visible, more civilized. Ugh.
And the final blow, firing Sandy and Jocelyn, declaring, this is my house. It's like she's trying to erase the kids past their connections.
She fundamentally misunderstands the house, the loyalty there. She's not just redecorating. She's trying to gut the place of its history, its spirit.
Yeah, exactly. She wants to remake it in her image, get rid of the old rhythms that were comforting for Maeve and Danny. The house becomes alien territory for them, even while they're still living there.
So Andrea changes the feel of the house, strips away the comfort. But while she's doing that, what about the money? The foundation that got them there.
The father's backstory. It's quite something. He started with basically nothing. Saved money working for the TVA.
And then gets this tip from a dying soldier about land in Horsham, Pennsylvania. Buys it super cheap.
And that's the secret foundation of his whole fortune, which his kids knew nothing about for years. Why keep that hidden? How does that complicate things later?
It's this huge underpinning to his whole empire, completely secret from the kids who should, inherit it.
Or not inherit it, as it turns out. The irony is crushing. His obsession with building wealth, buying property, it ends up being the very thing that kicks his kids out of the house he supposedly bought for them.
Right. After he dies unexpectedly, Lawyer Gooch drops the bombshell. The will, everything, Dutch House included, goes to Andrea. Joint titling.
And the educational trust. Only for Danny and Andrea's daughters. Maeve is cut out completely. Her education was complete. It's just brutal.
A betrayal that echoes for years. And Maeve never really gets over it, does she? Despite being so smart and strong.
No. And she channels that into Danny's future, pushing him towards med school.
He struggles, especially with chemistry, gets help from Dr. Abel. But then has this epiphany. He's meant for real estate, not medicine.
His suppressed nature, he calls it, to pursue buildings. It's like he's echoing his father's path, but focused on the buildings themselves, not just living in one grand one.
So Maeve wanted him to have the education she was denied, but his real calling ties back to his father, maybe even to the house itself in a way.
I think so. He tries to follow Maeve's plan, the conventional success route, but his gut pulls him towards property, towards creating wealth from buildings. It's like the house, even gone, guided him back.
And Maeve becomes his partner in it.
Yeah.
Handles the books. She's brilliant with money. They remain so interdependent, even as he gets successful.
She manages the practical side. He follows his passion. It's a really interesting dynamic.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting for me, unraveling the past. Maeve's insight about memory.
Oh, that quote is killer. But we overlay the present onto the past. We look back through the lens of what we know now. So we're not seeing it as the people we were, we're seeing it as the people we are. And that means the past has been radically altered.
It hit me too. It's like a warning from Patchett, right? don't trust memory completely. How does she show us that alteration happening? Like, where does a character's view of the past just completely shift?
That line is so key to the whole book, how memory isn't fixed. And she shows it brilliantly with Fluffy's revelations to Danny.
Right. For decades, they believe their mother just walked out, went to Philly to be with friends. A simple, painful story.
But then Fluffy tells Danny the truth. Their parents were still married when she and Cyril had their affair. And the mother didn't leave for friends.
She left because she hated the house and wanted to go help the poor, inspired by Mother Teresa. She'd even wanted to be a nun before Cyril convinced her otherwise.
It completely reframes everything. Their whole childhood story changes. She wasn't just heartless. She was driven by this deep, maybe confused spiritual thing.
It doesn't erase the pain, obviously, but the reason changes.
Yeah.
It makes her more human, more complex.
Absolutely. It turns everything upside down. She was caught between worlds, struggling with who she was. Her actions were devastating, but now they have this deeper, tragic motivation.
And speaking of the mother, her reappearance. After Maeve's heart attack at the hospital, the nurse lets her in out of pity.
You feel the weight of all those years, all the unspoken grief, and Maeve says, "I've just had a heart attack and this has been the happiest day of my life."
Wow. It just shows that deep, primal longing, doesn't it? Even after everything, what does that reunion mean for them after so long?
It's not simple. It's this moment of really complex atonement, I think. The mother's still doing her charity work, Bowery Catholic Charities. She sees leaving as a mistake, but also her path to finding purpose.
And then the most amazing twist. She ends up becoming Andrea's caretaker in the Dutch house.
It's such a full circle moment. It speaks volumes about forgiveness, duty, how connections persist in strange ways, old wounds kind of dissolving when faced with illness. It shows that even broken things can mend, maybe not perfectly, but somehow.
Which brings us to that final loop. The house reclaimed, sort of. Andrea gets sick aphasia or Alzheimer's. Norma comes back to care for her.
And then that incredibly powerful scene, Maeve, Danny, and their mother go back to the house. They see Andrea diminished.
And the mother hugs Andrea. It feels almost impossible given their history. What makes that hug so profound?
It just cuts through everything, doesn't it? It shows such compassion. Illness strips away the old fights, reveals this shared humanity. It's a huge moment for the mother's journey, too, this act of grace.
Yeah, like the house itself, despite all the trauma, can still somehow be a place for healing, finally.
And then we meet Danny's daughter, May. She gets the spiritual connection to the house. She's determined to get it back.
And she finds Maeve's hidden books, letters, discovering parts of the past even Danny didn't know. The house calls to a new generation.
But then, just weeks after that visit, the mother calls Danny. Maeve is gone. She died.
Such a blow. It forces Danny to really see how much Maeve shaped his life, everything. He eventually divorces Celeste.
Who blamed Maeve for everything, right?
And Danny realizes the Dutch house. It was always Maeve's story. Her spirit, her sacrifice.
And he honors her, right?
Yeah.
Through supporting May and Kevin's education, through his own work. It's his way of keeping her alive.
It's subtle but really powerful. And the house itself, it ends up with May.
Yeah. She buys it. That final image, May hosting a party there, telling Danny it's your house, meaning it's hers now.
It's a generational shift, a new kind of ownership, maybe a healing one.
Yeah.
The house is finally with someone who gets its history, the love tangled up in it. It's about continuity, memory.
What a journey. And you know, something else I found fascinating was Ann Patchett talking about the cover art.
Oh, yeah. That's a great story.
It's like the cover itself became this mini battleground over interpretation, just like the characters are always reinterpreting their own lives. Totally. She originally wanted to call the book Maeve. That tells you a lot right there. It was Maeve's story for her.
And she wanted Maeve's portrait on the cover, not a picture of the house. Why was that so important to her? It connects back to the themes, right?
Absolutely. Insisting on the portrait forces you to look past the building, the facade. It emphasizes the human story inside the house.
Just like the characters have to look past their first impressions, past the surface, to understand the real emotional landscape. It's about the internal lives.
But the publisher's art department couldn't find the right image, so what does she do?
She takes charge, commissions a painter she knows, Noah Saderstrom, to paint the portrait exactly as it's described in the novel.
And he nails it super fast. Like 4 days later, she has her cover. It's amazing. Shows her commitment to her vision, going outside the usual process.
And it really highlights that whole idea of visuals and interpretation, doesn't it? How we see things.
Yeah, she mentioned how different the foreign covers were, often missing the point, going for a commercial appeal instead of thematic resonance.
It's like a meta-commentary on the whole book. how framing the past, or even just the cover of a book, changes how you understand it.
What a rich, layered deep dive this turned out to be. We've walked through generations of Conroys, seen the Dutch house change from symbol of hope to loss, and then maybe legacy.
We've seen Maeve's incredible spirit, Danny's roundabout journey, the mother's really complicated path to atonement, all playing out against this amazing house.
It really shows how tangled up our lives are with places, with family, and maybe most of all, with the stories we tell ourselves about what happened.
Like Maeve said, our memories get radically altered by who we are now. We see the past through today's eyes.
So maybe the question for you listening is, what stories do you tell about your own Dutch house, whether it's a real place or, a metaphorical one?
Yeah. How much of your past is the real story, and how much is the story you need it to be now?
And what could happen if you really looked closer? Not just at the familiar parts, but the hidden details, the unseen lives, the forgotten bits that still echo in your own history.
Maybe the deepest truth is that a house, like a family, like memory itself, is never really finished. It's always changing, always speaking.
Always waiting for us to listen a bit closer, maybe uncover its deeper truths. It's a living archive.
Definitely food for thought.
Oh,
Okay, that's it for this deep dive.
we'll see you next time.